And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Shadowhunters. This is an older game. I like to take a look at those every once in a while. Shadowhunters is a game I played at a convention, Origins, several years ago, and I sat down and played it, and after I played for about 5 minutes, I instantly knew I liked the game and instantly knew that I wanted to add it to my collection, and it's still my collection. Shadowhunters is in my list of when I say games that replaced other games. This one really replaced a game very popular called Bang. And Bang is a great game in which one person's the sheriff, one person's the deputy, and other people and outlaws, and you're trying to figure out who's who while you're shooting at each other. This is a very similar feel to that, but this is a little faster and, in my opinion, a little bit more fun. Let's take a look. In Shadowhunters, the game is basically what I said, where it's Shadow versus Hunters. There are different character cards, and in fact I have an alternative set of character cards which comes in an expansion, a really small expansion, but you can replace them. They just have different letters, so you remember who's who. Like here, Ellen would replace Emmy, and they both have E's, and they have different special abilities. So they're very easy to mix into the game itself, and in fact some of the special cards which refer to characters were also included in the expansion to make sure they modified the names. Now, what you're doing is you have the Shadow versus the Hunters. Okay, so we have up to 3 Hunters and up to 3 Shadow are in a game. These cards are going to be randomly dealt to people at the beginning of the game. If you're a Hunter, you will win if all the Shadow is dead. And if you're a Shadow, you will win if all the Hunters are dead. There's also some neutral characters that will be thrown into the game, again, depending on the number of players. And so, for example here, Allie, she wins if she's alive at the end of the game. Bob wins if he has 4 or 5 equipment cards. Daniel wins if he's the first character to die, or if all the Shadow characters are dead and he's not. So he's kind of on the Hunters team. And then this guy wins if he kills another character and the total number of dead characters is 3 or more. He's just kind of wicked and evil. Each character also has a special ability which you can use. However, that special ability can only be used if you reveal yourself. See, at the beginning of the game, each player is given a color board. This is kind of overkill here, component-wise. But you get this color board, and you will place your character card on it. Now, I have these cards in sleeves because they're passed around quite a bit. And so this is one of the few games that I sleeve. And these are Fantasy Flight sleeves. But you get this card and it's secretly there and you can see what role you have, but no one else knows what role you have. All they know is what color you have. You have 2 tokens for your colors. You have one place here where you'll be going from location to location, and the other is placed here on basically how many hit points you have dead. If you're here at 0, then you have taken no hits at this point in time. On a player's turn, they're going to roll 2 dice. There's a 4-sided die and a 6-sided die included in the game. They will sum the total of those dice. Let's say I roll an 8. I then go to the location on the board that is marked 8. So let's say I'm blue, I would move my blue piece there to that location. These locations are randomly set up at the beginning of the game. There are paired locations. So when I go to 8, I will take the activity of that number 8. If I roll a 7, I can go anywhere I want. Some places like this one, the 2 and 3 and the 4 and 5 are the same, are both 2 numbers for one location. The locations are very simple. If you go to the church, you will draw a white card, which you will play immediately in front of yourself. White cards are usually armor and healing, although there's a couple holy attack items in here. If you go to the cemetery, you will draw a black card, which is often equipment, but there are some that say single use, and you just do whatever it says to somebody else. If you go to the green one, this is the Hunter's Gate. This is a very unique one. You will draw one of these green cards. So let's take a look at this card here. It says you must show your character card secretly to the current player. Or it will say, I bet your hit points is 11 or yes. Now, the way these work, other than the show your card to the character one, when you draw one of these green cards, you read it and then you hand it to another player, and they must do whatever it says. So here, for example, where I say, I bet your hit points are 11 or less, I give this to Bob, for example. Bob looks at it secretly, and Bob looks, is he one of these characters? Because all those characters are 11 or less. If he does, he takes a damage. If not, then he won't take a damage. Either way, I watch what he does. Everyone else sees what he does, but they don't know what that means to me. But now I know a little bit more information about him. I might guess that someone is a shadow. I might guess that someone's a hunter. So green cards are used for deduction. You can also go to the Underworld Gate where you can draw a card of your choice. So you can draw green, white, or black. If you go to the altar here, you can steal an equipment card from another player. And if you go to the Weird Woods, you can give 2 damage to another player or heal damage 1 for any other player. When players take damage, they just move along the track here if they get to where their character name is mentioned. For example, if Allie's character, if you're green and Allie passes 8, she has to instantly reveal herself and basically say, I'm dead, and out of the game. Although once characters start dying, the game it won't take much longer after that. Now, once you go to a location, if there's someone else in that same location or the location that's paired with it, you can attack those players. Now, attacking is very simple. Once again, you roll the 6-sided and the 4-sided, and your attack total is equal to the difference. So the best you can do is rolling a 6 and a 1 and doing 5 damage to another player, although that is quite devastating to the other person. So you do the difference of damage to them. Of course, weapons and armor can modify that. For example, if I have the butcher's knife, if my attack is successful, I do an extra point of damage. Or the handgun, all ranges but yours become your attack range. So I can attack everybody, or I can steal an equipment card from other players. Or what's the really annoying one? The machine gun. I attack all the characters, not just one, if I'm at a location. And then the white cards have armor, where I take 1 less damage for when I'm wearing the holy robe, but I also do 1 less damage. So the game will continue until people meet their victory conditions. Either the shadow will win, or the hunters will win, or one of the neutral characters will reach their victory conditions. As I said, the other neutral characters in this deck might have some extra victory conditions, but the game doesn't take that long, maybe 30 minutes at the most. Now this game has some charms to it. It's probably not as streamlined and good as, for example, the Resistance. The Resistance has come out recently, and that probably does what this game does better. This game can be considered a little clunky, I guess, with the different weapons and different things, but you know what? I like that. It has a good charm to it. It has a cool anime flavor to it, and I do like the neutral characters in there messing up the Shadow and the Hunter going after each other. Gameplay does not take long. I'm not a fan of player elimination, but since when you're out of this game, you know, you sit there and watch, and you can still win if your team wins. It's kind of like Werewolf, but contained in a game. Now, I personally, when I go to pick a color of my choice, I always take the green cards. Yes, I'm missing out on cool weapons and cool armor, but I love trying to figure out who the other players are. Because once you figure out, for example, who one of your allies is, usually you're going to be Shadow or Hunter, you're figuring out who your allies are, then you know not to attack that person. At the beginning of the game, you're just attacking wildly or not attacking. You're trying to, if someone's attracting too much attention, like kill me, maybe they're the guy who wants to die. But at the same time, maybe they're double bluffing and they're Allie who wants to live. So there's a lot of fun going on and role playing thrown in there. I'm hitting you with a chainsaw, but it's the thing about the game that just works well is it's this hidden role game. No one trusts anybody at first, but as time goes by, you can use deduction to figure out who people are. This game does a better job of that than most, but at the same time, it's quick. It ends very quickly. I mean, 30 minutes is the normal length of a game. I suppose you could drag it out, and I suppose it could be much quicker depending on how it works. And using your special ability, are you willing to sacrifice your identity? You're pretty sure everyone knows it anyway. Go ahead and do it. So neat. Do you need the expansion? No, you don't. I like it. I like the extra characters it adds, but I thought the game was fine without it. I have the extra characters, but I'd say most time when I play it, I don't even play with them anyway. I can take or leave them, but the base game itself is a very fun one. If you've never given it a try it out. Shadow Hunters.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There, there.